Dr. Nandita Saikia. She would be presenting about bringing spirituality to the debate on population growth and environmental sustainability. So, welcome, Dr. Nandita. So, let me introduce you to the audience. Dr. Nandita is an assistant professor of population studies at JNU, New Delhi. She holds an MPhil and Ph.D. from the International Institute for Population Sciences, Mumbai. She has worked at Max Planck Institute for Demographic Research, Germany, and at the International Institute for Applied Systems Analysis in Austria. She has served as an assistant professor at the Population Research Center, Institute of Economic Growth for 2 years. Her research interest lies in formal demography or mathematical and statistic relations between demographic measures, mortality, and cause of death studies using life tables. Socio-economic and religious inequalities in health, disability analysis, quality of demographic data, and undocumented immigration. Dr. Saikia has published many articles in high-impact factor journals and received several awards. I welcome you, Dr. Nandita. The floor is yours now.
Thank you, Professor Vijayalakshmi. Am I audible?
Yes, perfectly. Kindly go ahead.
Yes. Good evening to all. At the outset, I want to thank Institute for Science and Spirituality for organizing this wonderful conference and also to be a speaker of this conference. As Professor Vijayalakshmi has introduced me, I'm a trained statistician and demographer working in the field of population and health studies. So usually I do a lot of data analysis and present my all stuff through empirical evidence. However, today's talk is slightly different. It is not much with data, but with some arguments to bring spirituality to the debate on population growth, health, and environmental sustainability. So background is like this. Whenever we hear population health and population growth, health, and environmental sustainability, there are the two key points pop up to our mind. One is Millennium Development Goals and another is Sustainable Development Goals. While Millennium Development Goal was introduced in 2000 year, and after 15 years it was evaluated, and as this is still undergoing, it has started in 2015 and it will be finally evaluated by 2030. As my previous speaker has pointed out, that between MDG and SDG there are quite resemblance, but yet SDG is more inclusive. So in MDG, out of 8 different goals, 4 goals are directly linked with population health indicator. Whereas in SDG, out of many goals, many indicators, I would say all of them are directly, very strongly or indirectly related to population size, growth, and health. However, the main point is that the main message is that in both SDG and MDG is that this wants to increase the quality of life, reduce inequality across different social groups, maybe gender, maybe geographical geographical places, or socioeconomic characteristics by, say, rural, urban, rich, poor, different religion, and so on. So the main objectives of these two are in such a way that these are the global objective, and these are in such a highlighted in few years, for which we have numerous research on numerous empirical research and discussion about these topics in public forums, and particularly in our discipline where we work as a demographer or population scientist. We keep on doing empirical research. We have evaluated where India stands in MDG and where now India is going to work, or whether India is able to achieve SDG or not, what are the different priorities and so on. So there has been a lot of discussion and there has been discussion what should be the role of government, how government should act, how donors should act to intervene, and how researchers should identify the vulnerable groups and suggest evidence policies so that everyone is inclusive, everyone's quality of life increases. So on this basis of these resources, there are already a list of do's and do nots, and those are discussed everywhere. Again, for example, we should use lesser energy, we should not waste much water, we should consume less, plant more trees, and so on. Then if these things are available, yet we do not see much behavioral shift from what is used to be and what is now. There has not been much change in our lifestyle. In fact, it has been more and more towards consumerism, what we have been discussing last few sessions. So why it is happening? And if I want to ask myself this question, then definitely there will be certain points I have to answer myself. For example, how to stop temptation. For example, I have I'm getting good salary, I have money, I don't have much other social family responsibilities. I can definitely wear a dress of 50,000, say Muga silk or some other silk, and show others my aristocracy. Or those people who are relatively less economically well off, they might not have money for an extravagant marriage, but still they want to go for such kind of social rituals just for to show them that such society is doing, and that is what is the need. Again, another question it may come that I may start consuming less. I may start a very simple life without much extravaganza. Maybe I'm starting for this month and I'm continuing only for a month, and after that I'm again shifting to the usual one. I'm not able to be consistent with what principle I want to follow. Then another question can be, why should I spend my hard-earned money for the others? What can inspire me to sacrifice money particularly? Then another concern or question it can come, nobody is seeing me. For example, if I'm using energy more, there is no one to evaluate me, no one to question me, or not just in use of energy, or it can be a different kind of relationship, it can be any kind of extra consumption we do. So if nobody is seeing me, nothing will happen to me, so I can do anything what I wish for. So all these points actually can be covered under the umbrella of only spirituality. This original driver of all such problems are actually lack of spirituality. Now coming to what is spirituality, most of the time when we speak about spirituality in our usual day-to-day conversation among youngsters, among our society, spirituality becomes a kind of equivalent to religion, and a lot of people, in number of them would show that it is something very not much relevant to our modern life, because there has been a lot of confusion over the term spirituality itself. So in my understanding, spirituality is the self-science or self-management based on various experiments on self and nature. It is rather a process and consistent effort for self-realization, for self-discovery, and it may not be very easy. And yes, there is a high correlation between spirituality and religion. However, there are differences too. A spiritual practitioner may or may not be religious, and similarly, a religious person may or may not be spiritual. Spirituality includes everyone who believes in the formless God with form, or who spends time with self or nature to find out the true nature of the self. So one can choose the God. It can be form and formless God, but point is that one has to go through the process. It is beyond Sectarian belief. It is inclusive and full of compassion. Rather than when we speak about religion, it can be a blind worshipping method without realization or without just under someone's instruction. Whereas a spiritualist seeks the truth and experiment by applying easy and challenging steps to self and then finally surrender to the supreme power. And the spiritualists usually go through the process of seeking, experimenting, and then believing it. The spirituality is the process of connecting the true nature which is hidden within everyone. Everyone is Brahman, everyone is Buddha, or everyone has the part of that supreme Godhead. But we need to connect always. And since the time immemorial, human beings have been adopting numerous methods to connect with themselves and connect with the supreme nature. Now, the question is, how does spirituality can impact? Spirituality, again, it is not exactly religion. A higher version of religion might be finding the true nature of self, and by that we can connect with the supreme God, supreme personality. We call him Shri Krishna. It can be also called by different names by God, Paramatma's higher self, cosmic power, mystic law, and many other belief. They are described in different words, but actually it is the same. And from there, once we connect with that, then connect with supreme power, we get a lot of inspiration for the harmonious existence, and then we can refine ourselves at individual level. We can refine our own characteristics, and which further affects population growth, health, and environmental sustainability. In Bhagavad Gita particularly, it has been said that how can we get inspiration? We keep on chanting the name of Lord Krishna, Lord, and that's how we can refine. We go through a great process, and that's how we can develop all the true nature within us. So here I'm taking three different components: population growth, health, and environment, where I want to say that spirituality is the driving force related to the population growth, health, and environmental sustainability. And I want to take few examples of Vedic philosophy on spirituality. So example first, spirituality impacts unwanted population growth. Well, while in general, whenever it comes for the religious discourse, population has been always considered as a resource. And yes, it is true, but not necessarily every time. Because in religious dogma, a lot of time populations are considered blindly as a resource because it has crucial role linked to its political dominance. However, when we go for Bhagavad Gita description, although usually the children are considered as a resource, he also says that Supreme Personality also says that how unwanted population creates havoc in the society. In the first chapter, Lord Shri Krishna says in text 41 that an increase of unwanted population certainly hellish life. So what he says that population is important, but at the same time, if population is unwanted, it may create problem in resources. It can create environmental sustainability, and it can finally create affect our health. Of course, there has been always a debate what should be the optimum population, and from Bhagavad Gita perspective, one can argue that optimum population size can be decided by the individual as well as community level the perspective, keeping our consciousness level very high. Secondly, when we are talking about unwanted population, and in modern era, we always emphasize that using a family planning method can control the population, which can have further impact on quality of life and can reduce problem in environment. However, this is itself is not enough, because if somebody is using family planning method with the objective to reduce number of children, but at the same time just to increase the quality of materialistic life, that will be further problematic. For example, we have seen yesterday's presentation by Professor Goel, where when there are the very high income countries, although they have less number of family members, less number of children, they are exposing, they are giving more carbon footprints than those people, the poor income countries where they have more number of children. So it is not just only one that we emphasize blindly on the population size, or we emphasize blind use of family planning method blindly to increase our quality of materialistic life. If we take the arguments, examples from Vedic principle, Bhagavad Gita, we can actually go for a better situation, harmonious situation of population size, which can have good impact on our health and climate. Example 2 is spirituality impacts health, both mental and physical health. We have been talking in our all research, population health research. There has been flood of big data, and we are analyzing. We are always analyzing population health indicators of disease, cause of death, and so on. I also do the same. However, we need to remember that physical health itself does not represent societal well-being. There has to be mental health, and now, of course, mental health is becoming a topic of interest. However, and we are finding, in fact, that mental health are equally affecting people's physical health. So, for example, disease like cancer, diabetes are actually a result of poor mental health and vice versa. So again, if we go to the root cause, we find actually spirituality can bring happiness to the soul, and the soul happiness can be converted to mental peace and good physical health. There has been significant research on neurological and physical psychological aspect. Interestingly, 5,000 years ago, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna spoke several layers of our mind, intelligence, and ego, and Lord finally identified soul as a supreme energy. He directed Arjuna not to involve in sense gratification, and which is not so easy, and which is the ultimate reason for all disturbance around us. Also, how spirituality can actually help give us a positive health. Even the imagination of a supreme personality, Krishna itself, inspires us to be very happy, attractive, and have successful relationship. He sets the ideal where he is the supreme yogi. His mind, body, soul is every time in the same place. He is attracting from the animals to Brajabahu to his friends, his gurus, guru matas, kings, everyone. There is no one who does not love him. And he is 100% successful in his relationship. And we found actually now there are many studies which are showing that successful relationships are the most important ingredient of our happy life. So when we speak about Krishna, then we always imagine only the blessings, love, and kindness and compassion. So that is also a fact that can also affect our spiritual health, and finally it can impact our physical and mental health. In Bhagavad Gita, there has been a direction of spiritually inclined food related behaviors, sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Interestingly, now modern science have also found that animal has feelings, and we should get those feelings when we eat them. So when we go for sattvic foods where there is no animal and so on, it further affects our soul, mind, intelligence, ego, and everything. And finally, it makes us happy. And I think all of us know well that how sattvic food is highly associated with lower level of diabetes disease and higher immunity system. Again, this coming to this point, it is not easy to and win the temptation. And here, only Krishna consciousness or good consciousness can change their lifestyle without compromising the level of happiness. A spiritualist can live the longest life. Because I work on life expectancy, mortality, and disability related issues, I know that there has been a kind of we use a life expectancy at birth, average number of years a person lives. We analyzed all those, and this question often comes to my mind, and that if a person is selectively having better health by birth because of whatever the past karma and so on, some people are by birth they are strong, they're selective, and then if they are also able to attain materialistic achievement like higher education, wealth, and so on, and finally, if they are spiritually progressed. So far in our research, we are talking only the first two components. The first component is known as mortality selection, and other is that we say that socio-economically advantaged people. We are still missing the third component. But if we combine this third component with first two, actually there has not been much research on that. But I believe that there will be a great interesting finding. At the moment, we are seeing that life expectancy at birth for a group of people like most advanced countries like South Korea and Japan, we have the 85-86 life expectancy at birth. But if it is possible to a group of population which are following all these three characteristics equally, we may go for much higher life expectancy, what we are looking for. And not just life expectancy at birth, but also disability, disease-free long life. We have some example. I would draw your attention to 15th century Vaishnava saint from Assam. He is Srimanta Sankaradeva, who has lived total 119 years, which his date of birth is documented because he was born in king's family, and he has started this new Vaishnavism in Assam, and he lived on nearly 120 years. Another saint, Sri Chand, who is the son of Guru Nanak and who was propagator of very close spirituality like Vaishnavism, Udasi Vakat, who was remaining detached. He has lived like 134 years. And also, recently I have come across several books where particularly Radhanath Swami's book, The American Monk, Journey Home, where we find that he has referred many Himalayan yogis who are living very long time, and people does not know how many years maybe they are living. It may be 200 years or 150 years. At the moment, it is very difficult to believe on this kind of stuff. But I think if these all three components are matched, then a person can really live a very long life, and he can be happy as well as he can contribute to the welfare of the society. Finally, the example 3, spirituality impacts environment. A lot has been discussed from yesterday about this topic. I would rather reiterate this issue. A spiritual person can look for a harmonious relationship with nature. They never try to be masters of nature. Instead, they like to coexist peacefully. There are several Western philosophers, I would not name now. It was always seen that if we conquer the nature, we can be the master. But I think that approach is quite devastating, and we are really now understanding in the face of different disaster, pandemics, and mental disorder, and so on, we are finding that it is nature. We should never try to be master of nature, but we should exist peacefully with them, coexist peacefully with them, and that has been always shown by India's spiritual leaders. For example, the sadhus living in Himalayas have yogic powers, very mystical powers. They can do wonderful. Yet they coexist together with the flora and fauna without misusing mystic power to them. There are many slokas in Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic texts, which all of you know more than me, in fact. And what is the main principle here? To see living and non-living beings with compassion. And there has been discussion about the 5 elements of life. We see all those whatever form. It can be in the form of Mother Goddess, Mother Earth, Vayu as a Devata, and so on. But main point is that we are seeing them not just in non-living beings, but we are seeing them something much higher level, contributing our life, contributing to our uh, bread or everything. And then another is that in Bhagavad Gita again it has been said that not to see anyone man as a body, not as a teacher, not as a high caste, low caste, rich, poor, or whatever. It is rather to be seen as a body. I am not that body, I am something beyond. And once I understand that then it becomes very, very easy for us to coexist with the environment. Lord Krishna suggests to each should be served equally. If human beings in true sense can connect themselves with these teachings, it might be easier to save this planet. His Holiness Radhanath Swami once said, climate will not change unless we human beings change. These changes has to become from spiritual practices. Finally, Sattvic food has impact on health, but at the same time, it has great impact on environmental sustainability. The easiest way of explaining is that reduction in meat consumption can lead so many benefits, reduction of majority of the greenhouse gases emission. So with this example, I want to discuss my points once again. The environment will not change if human beings are not changed. Scientists can't invent advanced technologies, but to what level and how those technologies can be used have to be decided by human population. Unless there is an inner revolution by human population, misuse of technology to feed anger, greed, and lust will be high. The practice of spirituality may bring tremendous behavioral change, what we are talking now in different modern language like behavioral economics, behavioral psychology, and so on. But actually the root of everything, all this behavior is actually the spirituality. One other point I want to highlight that if spirituality helps, should we impose the rules leading to spirituality on society? For example, we have been discussing that vegetarian, and being vegetarian has a great contribution to the environment. Then should we impose such kind of rules? In my view, that we shouldn't, because if an individual's food habit is based on family backgrounds, ecological environment, food availability, and so on, so rather than imposing any rule, we should or we lure them for benefit of material gain. Spiritual leaders' text should inspire people for long-term happy healthy life to follow this kind of stuff. And this is the usual principle of India, not imposing, rather inspiring. This has been shown always by our spiritual leaders. My conclusion is that when human beings can see the development paradigm through a spiritual eye, it leads long-term sustainability, equality, what has been talked in MDG and SDGs. However, it is important to integrate this spirituality with the education system, and we hope, as the previous speakers also said, that in NEP, National Education Policy 2020 has a great scope to preach spirituality. But as a population researcher, I have been attending all important conferences and seminars, debates, and so on. I have not seen, and I found that there is great absence of concept of spirituality in this area, this subject. So there is a need to conduct empirical research how spiritual practices are helping population growth, health, and environmental sustainability. For example, this year we are organizing International Unions on Scientific Study of Population. This is a very old and established body of population studies. We are organizing 4th international conference in India virtually. But we do not find there is a sub team on spirituality and culture, how that is helpful for environment. So I feel that there is a great need to include this kind of topics in all mainstream conferences and seminars in population health and environment. And because this will lead people's acceptance towards spirituality, not just people's, like young researchers, youngsters, academicians, educational instructors, and so on. That's all. Thank you. These are my references.
Thank you, Dr. Nandita, for a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much for sticking to the timeline. Okay, you speakers have made my job very simple. You speakers, all the speakers were very disciplined related to the timeline. Thank you so much. Thank you for highlighting the problems because of lack of spirituality and how spirituality can impact one's own individuality when we connect to the supreme power. Thank you for giving the examples how spirituality and unwanted population growth are related with reference to Bhagavad Gita. Thank you so much. And at the end, thank you for highlighting how a spiritual life can be a healthier and have a longevity into it. Thank you so much. So let's take up some questions. Let me see. There's a question from Jay Prakash. Good effort, Dr. Nandita, to relate spirituality and population issues. I will suggest to use the term population sustainability than population growth. What is your comment?
Yes, I think that's a wonderful comment. We have to use population growth as well as population sustainability. It will depend on what context we are saying. So if we just want to see what kind of changes it has been happening over the time, technically, then we have to go for population growth. However, when we are talking about kind of optimum population growth, then we can go for population sustainability. Thank you.
Yeah, very well said, Dr. Nandita. I have a small question.
Sure.
Do we have any studies done related to how the spirituality is able to sustain the growth of the population and how they are interrelated as such?
Thank you, ma'am. This is the whole point I am bringing. In fact, because I have been working in this area for quite at least 7-8 years now, and I have been attending most important conferences and seminars and so on. There are many studies on population growth. We are emphasizing always on use of family planning method and what are the drivers like education, wealth index, different religion and different geographical locations importance on fertility or population growth. However, there has not been much discussion, almost zero discussion on spirituality association with population. Therefore, that is what is my point, whole point, that we should bring this to this debate on population. And I'm happy yesterday to see that Govardhan Eco Village project is associating with UN programs. In fact, most of our population works because it is highly applied and connected to population composition, size, and ultimate objective of keeping a high quality life. Most of our population indicators are used by UN, and however, there is this connection is missing between spirituality and sustainability and health. Thank you.
Thank you. With that.